Hello my dear friend, welcome back to my channel. This is Junni's Plan With Me. There are only a few weeks left before the new year comes and it's time to set up our 2021 bullet journal. So this is my second year of bullet journaling, and last year I just started with a random brand notebook I found on Amazon which gave me some trouble doing watercolor on it. But this time I did some research and eventually decided to go with this Crystal Night edition from Notebook Therapy. Well, a big reason is because of its beautiful cover, but I also like a lot of other features. So I have a separate review video about it and I'll leave the link in the right up corner if you're interested. You can also get 10% off with my code JunniSun10 while purchasing. Here I also printed out my own logo with the thermal inkless printer kindly offered by PRINTABLE. I'll leave the info and links in the description box down below with my coupon code for you too. Without further ado, now let's get started. Before getting to the real page, I'm going to add keys first. Since I've already remembered all the symbols I usually use, I don't want to waste another page for it, but I still feel something's missing if I don't write it down. So here I just decided to write on the back of the hardcover with some magic elements like mushroom and crystals inspired by the notebook's design. Then for the keys, if you're new to bullet journal, I suggest you to check out Reader Corral, who came out with this bullet journal idea and his original design, which is different from what I'm drawing here. Personally, I like to use square to represent the task and use half fill or full fill to represent the progress, while the original idea was using the dot. But feel free to customize to whatever you want, because what's important is how the system can help you to organize your life. I also draw some stars to add more magic atmosphere. Then I use Uniball gel pen for gold ones. I know this notebook is using silver everywhere, but I just can't let go of shining gold and decide that it's okay if it's not 100% matching. Now let's move on to the next page, which you're probably expecting to be the big 2021 title. But as you can see the pencil guide, it is obviously not. As I'm counting the dots to prepare the grid guide page, let me explain why. So this page is the easiest one to flip to, and based on my previous experience, most of the time instead of the title page, I use grid guide and year-end glance more often, especially when I set up my monthly spreads. So I decided to have them on the first page and push the title to the next one if that makes sense to you. Of course, you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing here. I just found it's more convenient this way, and hopefully you can find it useful too. As for the grid guide, or you can call it cheating sheet, I only started using it in the second half year of 2020 and it was super helpful in my opinion. There are many ways to set it up. Here I'm going to divide the space into half, a third, and a quarter with one dot as gap in between both vertically and horizontally. After drawing the lines, I add a circle at the end of each divider, black it out, and write down the legends with a Posca white marker. By the way, I'll leave the information and links to all the supplies I'm using in this video in the description box down below for you. The notebook I'm using is A5 size, and the numbers of the section may vary based on the size of the notebook you're using. On the right bottom corner, I'm going to draw a crystal prediction ball, as you already know that my yearly setup has a theme and it is magic. On the right side of the spread, I'm going to put year-end glance here as I mentioned earlier. And I'd like to introduce this magic tool that frees my hand from writing down 12 calendars all by myself. I'm sure you heard me talking about it many times in my previous videos, how it saved my terrible number handwriting. The only thing is that all the calendar stamps come with 31 days, so for the month that only have 30 or 29 days, you can just simply place a piece of washi tape to block the extra days, press on the ink pad and remove it before stamping. Or you can use a cotton swab to wipe the extra days, which is probably easier. This stamp set also comes with day of the week, but I want it to be white letters on black base, so I'm going to draw it by myself, which turns out also a little bit time consuming. Next year, I may consider trying calendar stickers instead. Here I use gold gel pen again for the month names and stars on the top and bottom, plus circling out the important days. Now it's time for the 2021 title spread. On the left page, I'm going to use Sakura Pigma brush pen to write down a big magic. This pen's tip is pretty thin but not too soft, so if you want to practice calligraphy, it could be a good choice. Then under it, I use 01 fine liner for the definition, which I think could be really cute. So there are 3 meanings of magic according to Oxford English Dictionary. The first 2 I'm sure you can already think of. One is the power witches or wizard own, like in the Harry Potter, and the other one is the art of doing tricks, which you can see in a magic show on the stage. But the third one is my favorite. A special quality or ability that somebody or something has that seems too wonderful to be real. And here is why. We know that the real magic only exists in fantasy world, but in the reality, everyone can also become this someone who has a special quality or ability. It may require years of practice, a lot of patience and hard working, but I believe it is something we can achieve. Then I want more gold element, so I take out an old toothbrush and dip into gold watercolor. But make sure to liquefy first so the brush can grab enough pigment. And then use something thin and hard to scratch the brush 90 degrees facing the notebook. It will be easier if the brush is using hard material like cheap toothbrush or maybe some old pen brush you own. I'm not really satisfied with the gold dots, so I also go in with a tiny brush to manually draw some splash by myself. On the right side, I'm going to create a really simple pop-up setup for this title page. This one is so easy that you don't need any extra material but your notebook, washi tape, and a knife. So I fold about 2 cm in the middle side of the first page and also 2 cm on the right edge of the page below. Then tape them together. This is the basic theory, but we're also gonna add some connection piece between the left and the right page to make it actually pop up when we open it, which I'll show you how to make later. With that in mind, now let's finish the drawing first. My memory of me drawing cartoon-style girls was back in elementary school when I was so obsessed with Japanese manga. But I never really created a character for myself, and after that period of time, I started to learn sketch and realistic style drawing, barely did cartoon style again. So for my title page, I want to challenge myself and draw a cute witch with glasses, obviously representing myself. It may not look too bad, but I actually spent quite some time to figure out her posture and clothes. I've been hesitating to draw human in my bullet journal video because I know it is hard for some of you, but all it requires is practice. It may look terrible when you first start, but believe me, I also have a bunch of old portrait drawing with super weird body ratio and poses when I first started. So with all the mistakes I've made and the knowledges I've gained along the way, here are some tips I can give you if you're interested in human drawings. Always start with the bone structure. No matter you're drawing the whole body, the face, or even just the hand, by understanding the structure, you can see the shape more clearly and also be better with the ratio. For a lot of beginners, if you think your drawing looks weird but cannot tell what's wrong, most of the time it's because of the ratio. Like the legs are not long enough or the hand is too small. Another tip is always use a reference. By that, I mean each part you draw, use the previous part you draw as guide for both location and size. Then it won't easily go off too much. With all that in mind, the next is to practice. A lot of practice. And mimicking is always helpful in the beginning. I've been copying other artists' work a lot, and after practicing decent amount, you will be able to come up with your own creation or style. Okay, the main parts are pretty much done. Now I'm going to glue a piece of black paper on the back, which will show up through the cutting away part later. Also, don't forget to check the folding line to make sure it works fine with the front page. Then for the hollow part, I did pencil guide ahead of time to determine where to cut, but the whole process still takes way longer than I expected, so I have to take break in the middle and rest my hand with, which by the way caused this not clear footage you may notice. Sorry I messed up with the camera setting when I come back after a break, so for the next few minutes the video will be a little bit blurred, but I'll try to use the footage from my side camera when I can, and I hope you don't mind. Oh, and if you're going to apply this design on other cases, make sure that every pieces or elements in your drawing are connected, especially like the number 2 and 0. Now the cutting is done. If you only want 2 layers, then that's it. You can finish it by taping the edges together. Here I'm going to show you a little bit complicated version, but don't worry, it is pretty easy to make. So I want to add a moon between 2 layers and pretty much where she sits on. and of course paint it with gold watercolor. But you can also use gold gouache or acrylic if you want. Here I'm using a regular hard paper and it actually doesn't absorb the paint very well. Since I packed all my watercolor paper for the upcoming moving that some of you may know, I have to go with this, but it would be better if you use watercolor paper or just the regular 160 GSM notebook paper. When you cut it out, remember to leave the two sides little stripes as what I'm showing you here. Make sure the whole piece is at least as wide as your notebook page and we can adjust it later from there. In order to make it blend better, I also colored the straps to black. And before taping it on, let's add some gold stars in the black base. I keep flipping the front page back and forth to make sure the stars I draw can be seen through the hollow part. And again, use the brush to add some random gold stars so it feels more like galaxy. And now let's add the shining moon. Place it on the spot you want and make sure the width is exact the width of the page minus the folding part on the edge. Then fold the extra part and glue it to the middle of the structure. The next step is to glue the top and the bottom page together. Here I place a washi tape on the back, but you can also just tape it on the top with a transparent tape if you want. We're almost there. Before the connection pieces, let me add in the clown, color the bat and the cat really quick. So right now when we open it, the setup won't pop up yet because this piece is missing. Here I already made one. It's basically a triangle with the middle folding line and two glue parts. I glue one on the bottom area, and in order to make it stronger, I'm going to make another one for the top area. And this time I'll try using double tape, which turns out a little bit stronger. Same way to glue it, and it doesn't matter if the fold is facing up or down. With the help from these two pieces of connection, the pop-up is working now. Let me add eyes to the cat and bat, and now we're ready for the next spread. I've been trying all kinds of Dutch door in the past 1 year, and now I figure it could be cool to also apply it on my yearly setup, especially with my third feature, the tags. So I cut away about 2 cm on the red edge with the top 8 dots left. Same for the next page, as you can already see the pencil mark. For this spread, I'm going to do a future log with 12 months calendars. Again, I use the month stamp to stamp 6 months each side and write down Monday to Sunday. Then use the gold gel pen for January to December on the side. For the center area, I decided to go with some witch elements like eyes, sun and moon, plus some geometric shapes. Actually, I was planning to do only 6 months for this setup because I know I'll switch to a new one after June based on this year's experience. But still, it could be useful to have all 12 months here just in case you have big events or important days in the second half year. And since I'm only gonna use this spread for important days like birthday, holiday, and anniversary, I don't need too much space, but feel free to customize it to 6 months per spread if you want. So my future log setup is pretty simple. Let me write down the name on the tag and we're ready for the next spread, goal and resolution. I start with cutting 2 cm edge away, but this time I leave the tag a little bit lower than the first one so it can show up on the previous page. Then I pick up Sakura Pigma brush because the tape is perfect for what I'm going to draw here. A broken pieces of magic spell paper or maybe a treasure map. Anyway, it allows me to press slightly harder to have a thicker stroke and lift it to have a break line when I want. As I'm drawing, I want to talk about goals and resolution. At the beginning of 2020, I set up the goal of my channel to grow to 200 subscribers. Same for my Instagram. Yes, 200. Trust me, I'm not lying. You can even see it in my yearly flip through video later. I really didn't expect to reach my goal by 60 times more at the end of this year, and I'm so grateful for every single view who watch my videos, subscribe, and support this channel. I read all the comments you guys left and try to reply as many as I can. It is really awesome to have you in my Bujo journey even though it's only been 1 year. I'm trying something new and also challenging for 2021, which is the pop-up, and I hope I can bring more inspirations to you. In my 2020 yearly setup, I wrote down big things often have small beginnings, and hopefully my small channel can grow even bigger in the coming year. My friend, if you have any big goal you're thinking about for a long time and never really decide to go for, start from now. Write it down in your bullet journal and make a plan, maybe only with the first few steps to do if it's too overwhelming. Remember, big things often have small beginnings. You just need to trust in yourself and do it. So now I finished the paper and the feather pen on the corner. I'm going to add in more gold elements. And the final step, write down the name of the spread. I decided to leave this page blank for now because I still need some time to think through and set the goal and resolution for the next year. And here we come to the memory page. Usually, I like to print photos through a regular printer or use this HB Pocket printer. The photo paper comes with it has sticky back, so I can just place it on my notebook directly. The size is around 8 cm by 5 cm, which is slightly smaller than the Polaroid photo, I believe, but because it doesn't have a white edge, I can perfectly place it in the middle of a tarot card, which is what I'm drawing now. After determining the size of it, I try to draw some leaves and tie a ribbon with black fine liner and adding the edge line with gold, as well as the Rome number on the top to represent the month. Last year, I also did the memory page, and then the quarantine happened, so I didn't get a chance to fill it up. And I also realized that I won't go back to this page after the middle of year when I switch to a new notebook. So this time, I decided to only make it work for the first 6 months while I'm using this journal. A few months ago, I also started doing a personal journal every day with drawings and photos to record live, so I'll be mainly using that as a daily memory place, but I still want to pick one important moment per month to put in this spread. We'll see how it goes in 2021. And hopefully the COVID will be over soon and we can have some fresh air as well as some fresh memories. After the tarot card, I'm cutting the edge again and write down the name on it. The next one I'm going to make is books and movies tracker. I also did it in this year, but obviously I underestimate how much I love movies, and the list eventually covered the part I left for books. So this year I want to leave enough space for it. Speaking of which, you know I make 2 bullet journals each month, one for me, one for my husband. I recently decided to do all movie theme for his black and white setup for each month in 2021, and if you want to help me to decide the theme, check out my Patreon website and join the pool. On the bottom of the spread, I draw open spell book, and I think it just matches this page so well. On the top, I divide the spread into left and right 2 sections, one for book and one for movies. And for each section, I also divide it into 3 titles: the name, when I watch it, and how many stars I want to give to it. The next page is something new I add in this year's setup. You know I've been using brain dump spread every month, and I pretty much just write all the thoughts I have, but there are some ideas I want to keep for longer, like a few months or half a year. I found it difficult to go back to the specific month when I came up with it, so I decided to have an idea page in a yearly range. And as you can see, I draw a cauldron and a big smoke bubble come out of it. Yep, just like the ideas come out from my brain. This year I also prepare a separate pre-designed planner for my video tracking, because now I treat it as my career and I want a work planner for it too. The one I bought is called Legend Planner, and I did a review on it. You can find the link in the right up corner or in the description. It's a pocket-sized weekly planner with habit tracker on the side. If you think setting up the whole bullet journal system is too overwhelming, that one could be a good start for you to try. Okay, the idea page is done, and now let's move on to the tracker spread. On the left side, I divide the space into 12 sections to track the theme I'm going to do for each month, also as a pop-up mechanic overview. As I mentioned in my previous video, for 2021 I'm planning to do pop-up setup on the cover page for the whole year, and this page allows me to prepare the designs when I come up with some good ideas. As I'm editing this video, I've already have the pop-up I want to do for the first 3 months, so stay tuned, we're going to have a lot of fun. Anyway, this tracker for me is also like an index page. It could give you a pretty good overview of what theme you're going to do, and I think it's just something cool to look at later at the end of this year. Then on the right side, I'll use it to track how my YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, and Bilibili grow. So I drew 4 logos on the top and write down January to December vertically on the left. You can also use it to track whatever you want in a monthly base, like weight and body measurement, income and spending, or it could be the progress of some skill you're learning. Again, I'm cutting away 2 cm to make this Dutch door plus tag. And this tag is the last one, but our setup is not done yet. I'll also have a quote page after this. And finally, we're on the last spread. I start with drawing 2 hands on the left page because, most of the time I only show my hands in the camera and they're the tools to bring my ideas to come true. Although I want my hands can be as pretty as what I draw. Anyway, above the hands I'm going to draw a crystal ball. And again, use gold watercolor to paint it, but remember to leave some wet area as reflection. Then add in some stars. For the right side, I prepare a piece of black paper again, glue it on the page, and write down the quote I really like. Magic is something you create. Friend, don't struggle if you're a muggle or a wizard. Magic is not far away from us. I believe it is always up to you to find it within yourself and make it happen. It doesn't have to be something super fancy or cool. Just look inside of your heart, be brave, step forward, maybe start with something small. Magic certainly isn't made on its own. Magic is something you create. So I truly hope you can make the magic happen one day even without a wand or spell. Now this yearly setup is almost done and the final step is to round the corners with a corner cutter and add more gold splash on each page. I'll upload the digital version of my yearly setup on both my Patreon and Etsy where you can find and download. If you like my videos and want to support this channel, check out my Patreon community. As monthly subscription, you can also download the digital printable of all my monthly spreads, phone wallpapers, and more bonus contents. Or you can check out my Etsy shop where I'll list some of my drawings, pop-up designs, sticker sheets, and bujo kit. I've never made a video this long before and it took me more than a week to finish as I'm in the middle of packing for the upcoming moving. Maybe it is a little bit late when I upload it, but I still hope you can find it helpful or inspiring for you. If you have any questions, leave comments down below, and if you like this video, please click thumb up and consider subscribing my channel. Also, don't forget to turn on the bell so you can receive notifications when I upload new videos. Oh, for some of you who may worry that the pop-up could affect the note-taking experience, to be honest, there will be some bumping area, but with 160 GSM paper, you can barely feel it after maybe 3 pages, so it doesn't bother me that much. And of course, I'll try to come up with some simple and fun designs to make sure the notebook won't get too bulky. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you very soon in my next one. Bye!